Hi, you guys.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Corporate prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Your one stop for advertising. 844-844. Ready to try your luck? The Special Olympics Illinois Chicago Duck Derby is back Thursday, August 6th. Adopt a duck for just $10 to support the athletes of Special Olympics Illinois, and you'll be entered for a chance to win an all-new Chevy Trax. Visit ChicagoDuckDerby.com. You don't pay for iHeartRadio. Advertisers too. That's why it's always been and always will be 100% free. Radio, music, podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app now.
So if you're looking to refresh your home, you've got to check out Steinhaffel's Furniture and Mattress. Right now you can save up to 30% on furniture and home decor, making it the perfect time to update your living room, your dining room, your bedroom, maybe even do the whole house. And if your good night sleeps on your wish list, Steinhaffel's has great deals on all the top mattress brands, including Beauty Rest, Tempur-Pedic, Helix, and more. Plus, for a limited time, stop in and test drive a Beauty Rest Black mattress and have a free $20 class card just for trying it out. So visit in store or online at Steinhaffels.com.
I'm John. There are many reasons to work. Fear and chaos. Reason number 3. First, all leaders are not the same. There's not family that never exists. Not we, us. We're living 100% of the things operate in our wood. And there's not. Most of them are highly in favor of control. They just think their lives are best part. Hell, you can do that yourself. Do this. If you're looking for a woman, we've been working on results and seeing the
and create a custom song made just for your special someone. Every lyric tells your story, every note.
Okay, so what's going on? My other Instagram, my brand is not for sale, was just like my Instagram where I was giving day by day updates of the period of time where they were keeping us in a tent while I was pregnant with Weston and throughout the period of 2020 through 2024 prior to meeting Xavier and the 2 years after meeting him. I had one Instagram. The first year it was one Heather GEE. That Instagram is still up. I believe it has a little over 17,000 followers. Which to me literally means nothing other than my content will get reach. People know about what's going on. Under the understanding and assumption that it's true that people know what's going on because it's been 6 years of me giving these updates and documentations. And there have been so many unlawful occurrences of abuse and separation from my children and inaccurate, inconsistent communications between myself and the rest of my social group and social structure. What I perceive to be intermittent or daily or weekly changes in the authority from space to space. It's a little concerning that I'm on Instagram either 4 or 5 since 2020, not because I chose to stop documenting on one of them, but because someone external to me has entered my account, my phone, my what have you, and blocked me from access. The first Instagram that I was blocked from access, the one Heather GEE, that one is still up. You can look at that one. Also, there's a Merciful Storm Instagram account with 3,000 or 4,000. I made both of those in 2020 when I was documenting all of the occurrences of stalking, being followed around the country, the bludgeoning, all of those things that took place, and the attempts I made at contacting human rights advocate groups, starting with, domestic violence and not ending there. I went through the National Human Sex Trafficking Hotline to report that I had found myself in a situation where I was in a relationship with my ex, Dylan, who for reasons of his own, whether advertently or inadvertently, walked me into a set of circumstances that I was destroyed emotionally by and soulfully by and mentally by. And it took me months and years. And to this day, it's not a sit down for 3 weeks and repair yourself. It's every single day, move a few inches closer to the old version of yourself. And once you reach ground zero, keep going. And I reached ground zero long ago, and then it was communicated to me that there would be an external effort to, quote, regress me, that I've also reported here and in many other places. So I didn't receive any follow-up from any of those agencies that I contacted in 2020. And when I would call the FBI and law enforcement, I would have reason to believe that either my calls were not getting through to the correct departments or persons, or that those calls were being inaccurately communicated or documented. I also went above and beyond to document all of this with my doctor's office and several other independent healthcare teams with very little success. When I was taken into the hospital after being bludgeoned, the primary diagnosis used for billing was psychiatric emergency. There was no psychiatric emergency. I was in my vehicle at a car wash, much like this one, and I was afraid. I had been being kept out of the housing market for many months. I was sleeping in the backseat of my car. I have more qualifications than are necessary to get most and all jobs. And I ended up, accepting. I met a person outside of the gym who also had no way, and was communicating to me in a very articulate, normal, respectful manner with no signs of malice. I thought it would be a good idea to form a partnership and allow that person to sit in my car while I slept so that he could kind of watch my back, sleeping alone, even in the parking lot of Walmarts or truck stops or wherever I could find. My belongings would be taken from me. I would wake up and there would be windows open that had been closed. change taken, other belongings taken, things left. People were putting bracelets on my arm, taking my socks off my feet while sleeping in my vehicle, while sleeping in hotel rooms, while sleeping in a number of different locations, which is why for me, it's always been, no questions asked. Stability, a house, an apartment needs to be the only option. There is no option for a safe life being rotated through no living situation or being forced into, you have no house to sleep in, go find a bush and take a nap. There is no safety. There is no happiness. There is no, reason for that. And I have created a number of times solutions for all of those things. Now, in 2020, when all of that was going on and I let that person be in my car so we could be kind of a partnership, you sleep, I sleep, I was still applying daily. I was still going to the gym daily. And I was going to different gyms because if I spent too much time at one gym, a group of individuals would show up there and start to bully me in ways that were scary for me. I don't have a gun. I don't know how to use one. I don't have a knife. I don't know how to use one. I would never bludgeon someone with a tire iron. I don't have the wherewithal. I don't have some people, I wasn't raised to have those, skills. So I never even considered it to be a threat. I went to sleep. He didn't do anything to me. He didn't take anything from me. We went to the car wash. I started a load of laundry and he started demanding things from me that I take him somewhere very far. I believe it was Geneva or St. Charles. And I said, I don't have a way to do that. I have very little money coming in. I was only driving DoorDash part-time at that time. It was 2020. I said, that's going to be a lot, on my system. He chipped in about $17 and I gave him a bunch of snacks and food that I had purchased at that time with a card that I had that had funding on it. And I said, I don't have, if I do that, the gas is going to be on E by the time I get there. I said, why don't I give you $5 back from the gas money and you could take the Metro, get a round trip ticket or however that works. And I will pick you back up here. He wanted to go get clothing, I think from a family member. And he said, no, fuck you, bitch. And grabbed the tire iron from my back seat and gestured at me. And I ran, I got out of the car and tried to run and he chased me and he caught up with me quickly and physically assaulted me violently in the parking lot of that car wash. And all of that was on camera. An ambulance came and took me to the hospital where they diagnosed my hospitalization as a psychiatric emergency rather than what it actually was. I had 3 to 6 staples. I don't recall how many in the back of my head. I had a big bludgeon on this side. And since then I've been bludgeoned again, as you can see. So I have gone through these situations and the healthcare system, despite my best efforts, has not done a very accurate job so far at keeping record. And so I continue to make my own FTRs, write emails, contact third-party resources for assistance. Every time it's been deemed that there is solution, resolution, and peace from these circumstances, it seems like it's just a matter of time until there's some shift in maybe perceived power, control, or goal that causes me to be subjected to more undesirable circumstances. And I am looking for desirable, productive circumstances. So I have continued throughout this time to see the same physician for over 10 years. I have continued to use all of the people who know me that I'm able to access in an effort to document through the court system and every other system that I've had contact with as clear as I am able, as truthful as I am able, exactly what has been going on. Now, that one Heather GEE account shows everywhere I went, what state I was in, at what time. There are geotags for postings, et cetera, and so forth. The second account I created after that account was created when that account was frozen. And that happened when I was staying in Humboldt Park at a person's home who I had not spoken with in probably 3 or 4 years, but just so happened to fall into that group of individuals that the detective David Shepard, who was extorting me, asked me to stay around. I had not heard from that individual. I had contact regularly with my family on holidays and birthdays, the same as I always had. I had communicated with my children, their fathers, their family members. That was my normal group. For some reason, I was taken from that group, and the only messages I would be permitted to receive incoming would be from these individuals that David Shepard in 2016 had asked me to stay around, had extorted me and said, if you don't stay around these people, I will come to your home with the DCFS and steal your children. I was terrified. And so I was doing whatever he asked of me to make sure that I did not have any sort of harm come upon my children. In that understanding that I hadn't communicated with those individuals in 3 or 4 years, and now all of a sudden the only lines of communication I was permitted were messages coming through my Facebook from those individuals saying, sure, you can stay here. I saw your post. You could stay here for a few weeks. And then I got there. I got a job immediately. I began paying $200 a week for rent to have a futon in this person's home. After 3 or 4 weeks, the person said, you're going to have to find something else because my daughter is coming back to live with me from one of the Carolinas and I'm going to need this room. And I said, okay, thank you so much for having me. While I was there, I did my best to contribute in any and all ways that were possible, cleaning the house, bringing in food when I had money, and then giving them $200 a week for access to that bedroom and rent. I would have to show up at their discretion when they were able to unlock the door. I didn't have a key. I would have to wait outside until they got home or, leave when they left or what have you. It was a very inconvenient situation and definitely not one where I could bring my children. After that, another person, same group of individuals that I had not spoken to in 3+ years, contacted me on Facebook. I had had no communication with them at all whatsoever. They said, you can come to my house. I went there to their house. I was covered in bugs to the point where I was having a little bit of trouble breathing, could not close my hands into fists because my fingers were so swollen. Went to the doctor, received some prescription strength Benadryl, and had him document everything that he saw on my body. And I left from there after being contacted by a stranger on Facebook who saw my struggle being documented and said, I will fly you to Tennessee. You can stay with me for a while and let things die down. You could spend 4th of July weekend here. I perceived that that was a safe situation considering what I was dealing with here in Chicago. My Cadillac had already been stolen from me and I was commuting from space to space, either walking or in Ubers that would be sent to me. I had little to no money in the bank. And as I said before, my only income during that time was driving DoorDash. But once they stole my Cadillac after I made final payment and I owned it at that time, they stole it from me. They stole my Cadillac with no explanation after telling me it was parked in a safe location and that there was no issue and that I had nothing to worry about. I've not received any money back for any of that. Following that set of circumstances, when I got back to Chicago after being flown home through Jacksonville Airport by someone who I contacted, who I knew at the time, but no longer have communication with, I had nowhere to go. I spent 3 days in a hotel room with that individual that they paid for, and then I had nowhere to go after that. I walked around with my belongings in search of another location, in search of another option. And it was a very difficult time. I experienced intermittent situations where I was left outdoors for days at a time. I am a human being, not to be left outdoors. I was not able or permitted to receive assistance from the shelter system, the social services system, law enforcement, despite a whole entire overwhelming phone call log that's been documented and shared through email, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and several other social media forums. I don't understand what the problem is. It seemed to me like the expectation was that I come up with a solution to homelessness, because why else would someone be putting me through this? So I quickly incorporated the idea of the UBI. The UBI that compensates a person a fair amount, a standard amount of $100 to $150 a day, despite their ability, willingness, or desire to work for the money. There is no downside to that. We would just have to switch to a digital form of currency. Biometrically enhanced would be best. This solution would eliminate completely any and all ability for people to do fraud, any and all ability for people to do under the table, any and all ability for anyone to be taxed unfairly, etc., and so forth. I've thought it out thoroughly. I've thought it out with ChatGPT, and I've thought it out with several other think groups who have also weighed in and done their research. We've also come across several claims that numerous Asian countries have already incorporated this UBI and that it has been a successful working model. So I thought, okay, that's done. I've stood back up after that. I met Xavier. I spent the next 2 years before I met Xavier dealing with very similar situations to what I just described. Painful situations. Situations where I was harmed a great deal. And I kept going, and I don't know how. I do not know how. More days than not, I would have preferred to be dead than alive. And by dead, I don't mean not being on the air or not having access to social media. I mean in an eternal state of rest where I cannot be harmed or stalked or followed or harmed or had sex with a person I don't love or want to be with, or used for someone else's weird agenda. But somehow I made it through. I do believe that it was my love for my children, my family, and my pregnant belly that kept me through the final year of that 4-year period of displacement. Xavier and I got pregnant with Weston. I had been on birth control. I had been utilizing several other forms of and methods of what had always worked for me in the past as being reliable birth control. I had just lost a twin pregnancy to death, preterm labor, 6 months before I got pregnant with Weston. I have 3 other children. I won primary joint custody of those 3 children in 2018 to 19, about 1 year before Dylan was released, 6 months. Despite all of that, no one was able to intervene on my behalf and stand me back up so that I could be a mother to my children. My children have been separated from me after living with me full time since the age of 14, 13, and 6. I've only been permitted intermittent periods of regular communication via video FaceTime calls, cell phone calls, text messages, and quick visits on holidays and birthdays where I've been able to go and give them a gift and a hug and tell them how much I love them, and then had to leave to go back to whatever hell I was surviving. After that, I deemed that it was appropriate for me to focus all of my energy and effort into bringing up my children by setting a positive example. And the only way I was going to be able to do so, despite the adversity that I faced after giving birth to Weston, that I'm not permitted to discuss here for legal reasons. But after all of that, I decided that the only way that I would be able to make it, that the only way I would be able to move forward, that the only way I would be able to be an acceptable caregiver to my children was if I was able to focus 100% of my energy and effort on improving and increasing my income. My goal has always been to purchase a home. That was Dylan's promise to me, that if I helped with his proffer agreement, with all of the things he needed to accomplish for the state of Illinois and perceived federal government, that I would be permitted access to a safe home to live in, that I would be safe, that no one would ever be able to harm me again. I didn't receive that promise, as you can clearly see. So I wanted to give it to myself. So I poured 100% of my energy and effort into looking for jobs. Over the last 6 years, despite how many applications I've filled out, I have been stalked to my jobs. I have been harmed in my jobs. I have been removed from my jobs, not because I've done something wrong, but because someone else, I don't know why, I have no idea what their goal could be, thinks that it is a better situation for them to have the job or for me to just not be able to work. I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why. In the understanding that I have been working full time for the last 2 years and that the authority has found a way to make it safe for me to work, I'm very confused as to how now, for 6 days, last week, Monday at 11:30 a.m., my Grubhub was removed from access. I have a 4.87 overall rating with 3,800 rides approximately for Uber. I have 197 rides approximately with a 4.9 star rating for Lyft. I have about 2,000, possibly closer to 3,000 lifetime deliveries for DoorDash, being Dasher of the Month on several months. I have worked Instacart with satisfactory ratings, and about the same for Grubhub, a 4.9 star rating, I believe. And I've been driving Grubhub anywhere from 6 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 3 months. As of Monday at 11:30 a.m., all of my accounts were locked. I've attempted with a new phone to regain access, despite the communication that it is legal and ethical and standard practice and procedure for any account suspension to be permitted, to be challenged with fact. And I've submitted photos, videos, evidence. No one has responded to any of my challenges. It's also been found that if your situation has been frozen on DoorDash, which mine was, that you can reapply after 90 days. I did, and I got my position back. Now it's been about 6 months since I've worked DoorDash and nothing is happening. I'm locked into this block on all delivery platforms, all human transportation platforms, and there's no reason. There's no reason being given. So my apartment that was communicated to me was mine for room and board after I paid about $20,000 to be there. A small studio apartment with a non-working shower and a small kitchenette, $20,000 with a lease through May of 2027 was taken from me, and someone else is living there now, one day after I was forced to leave. And my car that I've paid on time every single month since I got my vehicle has been in a state of deferment since the 23rd through next month on the 23rd, because I am waiting to start my new job this week, hopefully tomorrow. And I found a new delivery app. I have my first delivery there tomorrow, and I've applied to another several brick and mortar jobs with an offer on the table for a full-time employment. Under the understanding that I have worked and showed up for work daily, every single day. And that's not just the paid work. That's also the unpaid work, the boxing up all of my belongings unexpectedly and under duress, the transporting it from place to place, the living on one meal a day, trying to keep Xavier all right when they have been doll walking or dog walking him into random personalities and behaviors. One day he's doesn't drink alcohol at all, and the next day he's drinking beers, chugging beers, putting on a dress. Why? And I said to him, I can feel that you're still in there. Please wake up. All the while communicating with my children, calling them 2 to 3 times a day, every day, texting them multiple times a day to make sure they're all right, sending money whenever I can in the form of $10 to $20 to whatever child needs it. I've only been able to send money to my daughter Vivi 2 or 3 times over this period of the last 2 years. To my son, maybe 20 or 30 times. And to Alexis, my daughter, I've only been able to bring her snacks. She doesn't have any bank accounts or ability for me to send money. I've been able to bring them Christmas gifts and birthday gifts, much less and farther scaled back than I normally would like to. You know, maybe $200 per child per budget each Christmas, and $50 per child or $60 per child per budget each birthday, which is not enough. I've not been able to purchase my children's school supplies or buy them brand new shoes for back to school. I've not been able to make sure that their closets have clothing in them. I'm unclear of the goal, the intentions, and the desired outcome from day to day. I still consistently receive various bits and pieces of communication and for communication and information. I have been subjected to submitting copies of my photo identification. I couldn't even tell you how many times through third-party applications. And then I've been accused of being involved in something nefarious when they don't understand how mine or any other third party's ID could have been reprinted and used for anything else. I don't mind answering these questions, but can I do so in the comfort of my own home with my children, having a safe place to access their mother and have a family dinner and live together? I've been sleeping in my car for the last 22 days. For the last 7 days, I haven't been permitted to work Grubhub, or six days. I worked 2 additional promotions jobs, and I'm concerned with regards to my digital footprint and how to make it accurate. In each of the periods of hospitalization, it has been deemed that there were inaccurate and inconsistent medical record takings. I have formally submitted medical request audits on all of my medical records in writing, via fax, as well as email numerous times to the hospitals Endeavor, Elmhurst, and Northwestern. I have filed numerous digital police reports. I have had hours, if not days, if not weeks worth of conversation with independent policing agencies, as well as the Chicago police and area police stations. I've contacted the local FBI department 30 or 40 times at least. It's been 6 years. What is it that you guys want from me? What do I have to do so that you could let me live my life? They've communicated and promised and made it sound like there was already a career lined up for me, healthcare consultant, that I would be able to be the front line of questioning before they needed to go to doctors for a deeper understanding of certain things, and that I would be compensated appropriately and fairly, and that I would be provided a safe place to live. When do we start that? I applied for a job today as a cashier at a location, and they said that I was hired and that they would call me back to let me know what day I start. But I have to pay my car insurance by the 9th of this month. If I don't pay my car insurance by the 9th of this month, they will deactivate my insurance policy by the 23rd of August. Also, I do know that because this is my first car that I've purchased since the Cadillac, it's been almost 3 years that I haven't had a car. So in that period of 3 years without a car, I didn't need car insurance. When you have a period of time that you don't need car insurance, that means you are not a covered insuree. If you are not a covered insuree, you have a higher premium to pay when you get insurance. Now add in the fact that I was transporting human beings, driving Lyft and Uber. High volume, high mileage on your vehicle, combined with the liability of having another human being in the back seat and not having had insurance in your name for 3 years prior, makes your premium rise. So $387 a month is what I've had to pay over the last 10 months for my insurance. Just for myself, for my own coverage. I need to go and shop for a new insurance policy ASAP, but I need to do so before there is a gap in coverage. And I need the funding to be able to pay for the new insurance policy. I have many other very concerning situations that have been going on that I'm not being permitted the legal ability to speak about. Despite the First Right Amendment of free speech, I have been repeatedly requested to not speak about certain things, and I have done my best to follow and be cooperative. With very few exceptions, I have said something under duress that I was afraid that for the safety or well-being either of myself or my child or the court system that I'm not allowed to name. And for that reason, I have said something, and later I was charged with some sort of crime for doing so. So I don't know how to get the information to you guys. I don't know how to create the most accurate dialogue. In the face of the accusation of being a deceptive person or withholding information to harm anyone, I don't know how to respond. I tell you what I know to say, what I'm able to say without being charged with a crime. The name calling, the bullying, the stalking, the physical attacks, the inference that I am a professional victim and that is all I will ever be. Fuck you to all of it. I have never consented to being anyone's victim. I have been kind and as compassionate and patient and as understanding and as calm and as rational and as intelligent as I have been permitted to be. None of this is for entertainment. None of this is for the Coco show. This is my life. I live this every single day. Please, just let me live. I don't know what more you want from me. They've come on the line multiple times and made the communication that numerous different people have been subjected to various lines of questioning and inference and accusation that has likely caused them severe discomfort, including but not limited to the production team from the show, the doctors that I've worked with in previous capacities, possibly Dr. Doshi, Dr. Aronson, Dr. Scamra, Dr. Maletti, and more. I'm sorry, genuinely, if I've had anything to do with any discomfort that anyone has experienced. I've repeatedly discussed the importance of the accuracy in medical records and other formal forms of digital documentation, whether it's in the legal system, in the criminal justice system, in police station databases, in, medical records, in pharmaceutical records. There will come a point in time in all of our existence, at the rate of natural evolution of technology and the direction of which the world is heading, our digital footprints will be very important. We will have to answer for the things that we've said and done in the past. I'm still waiting for the understanding of what is the best way to handle the situation when the doctor diagnoses or codes psychological emergency when the actual reason for hospitalization was violent attack, staples to back of head. How do I ensure that myself and my children later on down the road are not held to some inaccurate tie or diagnosis that will harm us in the future? Apart from filing a request formally for a medical records audit and being not permitted that audit, apart from writing clear dialogue and submitting it for submission to be entered into my official medical record, apart from creating these videos on social media, identifying myself by tattoos, biometrics, name, what should I do? I have discussed repeatedly the technological achievement of bot technology, which is not a robot walking around in this context. It is a metaphorical and algorithmically programmed computer application or phone application based form of programming where, and this exists, it's relatively inexpensive. I believe it's somewhere around $50, if not free for some demographics, to deploy this type of assistance. These are programmable bots where you are permitted to ask the bot to sweep the internet for keywords, mentions of your name, legal name, aliases, business name, or names. And every time the bot is able to find a new entry in the internet anywhere, along any forum or communication or private or public message board, etc., the bot will send and generate a notification to you or your team and delegate a priority from urgent to not so urgent. I believe there are four, from the technology that I'm familiar with, there are 4 codes or diagnoses. Very urgent, priority, very urgent, urgent, and intermediate are the 4. And in understanding that this technology exists, that's the first defense. It can find this slander that is posted throughout the internet. It can find this deception that is posted throughout the internet. It can find any reference to any person, place, or thing that is posted to the internet. And then it lets you know this is going on, with a priority for how quick your response should be and what the overall effect will be on your business, your name, your reputation, etc. You can then incorporate a second layer. This is onion technology. You can then incorporate a second layer to that protection, which is an algorithmically programmed response. If Y, then X. If Z, then A. Fill in for the variable. How do you do that? How do you train a bot to be able to visualize or interpret deception or slander, especially when it's about a human being? Well, that's easy. You create a narrative of truth with responses. If there is something above the current level of programming and their ability to perceive, human intervention is then needed. I've written about 400 pages of my life. That would be a good starting point. It's been uploaded to the cloud for a long time. A long time. Under the understanding that I have uploaded all of those things, receipts, bank records, forensics, medical records, and other things, it would be very easy to create a preliminary shell, another layer of that onion protection of information that could be deployed in defense of any slanderous allegation as it is made in real time. If there's further information needed, I have proven repeatedly that that's not a problem, that I have been willing to the best of my ability to elaborate and to give as as accurate information as I have access to, always. And so in that understanding, and in the understanding that I've made all of these documentations, how is it possible that during the period of time that Xavier and I were not being permitted access to safe indoor housing and were being held in a tent on cement at Belmont Harbor Yacht Club while I was pregnant with Weston, how is it possible that the day-by-day journal entries that I posted to Instagram and YouTube have been removed from circulation, and that there is a new team coming into play who doesn't even have understanding that I've gone through that? How is that possible? Under the understanding that I've budgeted effectively and coordinated my budget to my needs, there's also been numerous reasons to believe that my gas gauge and other sensors causing me to spend money in other ways have been used nefariously to drain me of the remaining $300 that I had a week ago. I have $80 left. I have no food budget. I have a doctor's appointment today where I will be expected to spend another $30 on medication that has been deemed unnecessary by many, but necessary by this nefarious third-party agency that continues to make demands in writing in an effort to do nothing to upset them. Here I am. For the record, I didn't put on any filter. I've tried everything. I've gone to the private airports to see how business works, to see how I could offer personal driving services to individuals to and from private airfields, including but not limited to Chicago Executive. I believe the other one is called Milwaukee or something. There's another one in, I believe, Northfield or Northbrook. I've gone to O'Hare a number of times. The TSA lot or TNP, I apologize, TNP lot at O'Hare it looks like a missionary camp. It is filled. There is a food truck there. It is at max capacity with probably, I would say, less than 20 available parking spots at any given time. All perceived livery drivers waiting on an Uber or a Lyft request. I went there to seek refuge and immediately noticed that I was the only woman, maybe less than 5 other women, and was very uncomfortable. Midway has the same ability. I'm not quite sure what their flight traffic looks like. O'Hare's been steady and busy. There's been way more departures and arrivals over the last several weeks than I've noticed prior to this. You would assume that that would be good for business with regards to Uber and Lyft, unless people are just staying up in the air. There are too many free radicals for automation to work, and I've told you that for months. You cannot have an if X then Y situation without incorporating other factors if they exist. When you ask if apple equals 2 and orange equals 3, how many apples and oranges do I have? The answer is then 5, right? But unless you fail to incorporate that there are 7 ABCs and that ABCs are people wandering around eating X's and Y's, in which case you would not have 5, you would have none. We've got a lot of ABCs wandering around on your automated schedule. Can you send in some fucking 911? Maybe some SOS? I'm tired, you guys. Look, does the filter conceal the crown? It's still there, I promise. I'm tired, but not in a good way, you know? Not in the way where it's like, oh, I'll just go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow refreshed. In the way that's like, is there any end in sight? Yesterday I drove far to Gurnee, and there was a woman who had come up to my car while I was driving Uber and really scared me. I mean, to tears. She was dressed as a TSA agent, and she approached my car and started banging on it repeatedly. And I was already, very nervous already. That day I had been going through a bunch of other things, and she just started banging and banging on my car. I got so scared. And when I looked at her, it looked like she was like melting, like her face and her body. It was like, am I having something go on with my eyes that's putting a filter on this woman? Because this is alarming to me, And it was about 3 months after that they started strategically routing my Uber rides to North Avenue in Wells to a business called Sharp's Modern LASIK. And when I began to do further research, not only have I been aware of the Meta glasses, which is a lens that you put on your face and gives you the ability to see through the lens, messages, send text messages. There's a bracelet that goes on. All you have to do is move your fingers and you see the keyboard up here. And as you move your fingers, you're sending in real time the message that you want to send. That technology was on the market 10 years ago. So yes, I do believe that they could have a lens or an implant. If you don't believe me, please call. Hang up your social media. Call right now. Call Sharp Modern LASIK, North Avenue in Wells. I posted the photo and the photo of the building with the Google search result. Call them. Ask them if they offer implant modern LASIK. Implant. Ask them. Have they reached the achievement of technology where they have implanted technology within their scope of ability? They do. So if one facility has that, how many other facilities also have that? So is this woman pounding on my vehicle about a year ago while I was driving Uber in some sort of distress? Is she being harmed? Or is she actually a normal lady and they're applying some sort of perceived Snapchat filter through this modern LASIK that they keep telling me I have in my right eye? And how do I tell the difference as the owner operator of this cyborg technology? And no, cyborg is not the same as robot. I've told you all this before. A robot doesn't bleed, doesn't menstruate. I still get my monthly cycle. I'm actually on it right now, sleeping in my car and with nowhere to go. But don't worry, I'm an above average clean person. So I regularly use baby wipes to clean myself, wash my hair, wash my face, brush my teeth, keep my vehicle vacuumed, going through the car wash, all of my belongings very neatly organized. I know that blood still comes from my arms when I get a scratch. I know that I still get hungry. So I can't be a robot, right? My mouth still produces saliva. Cyborg means that you have any implanted device in your body, medical or non-medical, that helps to improve or enhance your experience. A cyborg, by that definition, would technically be anyone who's had a hip or knee or other joint replacement. Anyone in the audience who's had a new hip or a new knee? That technology has been on the market now for what, 30, 40 years? Is there anyone running around threatening those people's lives because of their implant that they have? Why do you people keep on fucking with me and saying I'm a cyborg? I don't know that I'm a cyborg, number one. And number two, if I am a cyborg, are you being prejudiced against cyborgs? And if you are, because you're under the understanding that it's possible that my cyborg eye might be watching you doing whatever it is that you've got going on, then why are you doing it? And if you don't have any way to stop what you're doing and you're afraid of my cyborg eye, I welcome you to please employ a better, more wealthy or resourceful individual who can get to the bottom of who is in charge of the cyborg eye, because I guarantee you it's not me taking video footage and doing any edits in the background. I don't even know what software a cyborg eye would use. What software runs with a Meta lens? I don't know. I have no fucking clue, but I know that it exists. I saw the Meta glasses launching as a brand new achievement at Best Buy, Harlem and Irving Mall, New Year's Eve 2021, I believe, or 22. And I already seen that technology in another demographic 3 or 4 years earlier. And you know what? A year ago, they started putting that in my Facebook algorithm. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. Another launch on this technology? It was new 10 years ago. What's new about it? What is new about it? You know? Maybe it's got new features or capabilities. I didn't really read the fine print. It's just these people think that when I say this shit exists, that I'm lying and that I'm some undercover, special agent with connections to Russia or China or the United States. Who the fuck knows what they say to me? And if they were just saying it to me with no possible harm against me as a result of their thinking that, then I wouldn't really care that much. Okay, you're bullying me. You think I'm a cyborg. Ha ha ha. No, it's not been that. It's been, we think you're a fucking cyborg, bitch. We're gonna fucking bludgeon that camera out of your eye. And me crying and begging for help, saying, please, I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to defend myself. I feel pain when you hit me. I bleed when you hit me. I bruise when you hit me. Please, stop. And then they throw me into this space where my car payment is due. I have no fucking way to pay right now. I had to request a deferment for this month. They took away my apartment. I have no one to call for help. I don't want them to hurt me anymore. Please. I don't know how to fight. I don't carry a weapon. I don't fucking harm anyone. And then they want to use me for something else because they've already made the investment. The technology's already been installed and they don't want to lose their money. Well, this guy lost everything he made focusing on putting a cyborg eye in this lady without her permission. So now we need to be able to human traffic her all over and use her fucking eye so we could get paid back. Because that was everything we've got. Oh, well, don't let my need to have a skull that's not fractured interfere with that. Don't let my 4 children's desire to actually know their mother interfere with that. God fucking forbid. And if it's not that the cyborg eye was for my protection, or it was for someone else's protection, or for someone else's deception, or whatever the fuck, then here comes the guilt trip against Heather that I should do something better. Why am I not just doing something else? What in the fuck would you like me to do? I need to make money. I have 4 babies. 4 of them. Viviana, Lewis, Alexis, Weston, 4. And I'm Heather. And I have Xavier, who hasn't been permitted to make a fucking penny in years. So anyways, I drive to Geneva or Galena? Geneva? Gurney, my bad, yesterday. And it was one of the most peaceful days, the majority of the day, that I've had in quite some time. You know, very, very long time. And I felt indifferent, dare I say, peaceful for a few periods throughout that day. Even loved and supported for a few minutes. I might be losing touch with those feelings because I've experienced them so little over the last decade. And so I felt like it was, you know, a good day. And I pull up to this place and they start making me, you know, laying into me. Oh, do you remember when you went here with Dylan and the group from the renewable energy team? Yeah, I remember. What about it? Do you remember when he made you ride the giant drop and you said you hated that ride and it's the only ride you don't like here? Yeah, I remember. And then look at what he did to you. It was like a forewarning. Oh, thanks. Did you drive me all the way up here so that, oh, and then the lady with the face thing pounding on my car at O'Hare a year ago pulls up in a fucking full police costume with a badge and a body camera. Says she's Gurney police now. So there's an individual with what I've referred to as face melt filter coming and pounding on my car a year ago, who now is no longer a parking agent at the airport, but is a cop in Gurney. Coming up to my car, trying to start some shit. And I'm just sitting there. I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm trying to watch the roller coasters and just take a few moments, you know? You know what? Fuck it. I put it in park. I just drive away. And then it's back to wasting gas that I do not have and money that I do not fucking have. And it's similar when I'm in the city. If I am not moving, they are fucking with me. And I'm going to run out of gas soon. And I'm going to I've already run out of places. So I don't know, you know. I hope I could start working tomorrow. I'm afraid. I miss my kids. I just stood back up. And I want to remind you that when I say stood back up, my life was working 7 out of 7 days a week to purchase $5 worth of beverages and about $7 worth of food each day. No fancy dinners, no dates, no vacations, no trips to, you know, the Dells or Six Flags or not even a fucking pool day. Not a single one. Nothing. I just stood back up. I've been sleeping on an air mattress in an apartment with a tiny little sofa that I paid $700 for. That's all that I had in the world besides what I have in this car right now. I purchased all of Weston's playpen, his crib, the shelves that I bought for him, all of that. I had to throw it all away unused. Never once, not a single use. Not because I did something wrong, but let them tell it, you know? So, anyway, I just hope that someone is able to save all of these circulations, you know, so that I can have proof, because as I said, they removed my access to the One Heather GEE account same year, 2021, I believe. I created a new one. I think I had probably 9,000 or 10,000 followers on that account, and they deleted it on Easter, right after Weston was born. I had daily updates. It can still, I know for fact that they can still find it. I know that there is definite proof of every video I made. But for me to reference to anyone in the general public who I'm discussing things with, trying to show them, you know, what went on, or asking for help with funding or to buy a house or for a job. You know, a lot of my employers, they want to know what happened. I've had probably 20 jobs. I'm a phenomenal employee. Go look at my LinkedIn. LinkedIn is Heather Gillespie, linkedin.com/GoPro Solo. Go ahead and look at all of my experience. I'm a fucking superstar at a million different types of work. Marketing, sales, healthcare, advocacy, promotional model, spokesmodel, multi-specialty hospitality. I didn't go into the restaurant with all of this experience and snub any position in there. I said, you want me as a bartender? I got you. You want me to serve tables? No problem. You want me to take orders? I'll do that too. Oh, stand in the kitchen and wait for them to hand me a plate of food and then go walk around and pass it to people? Not a problem. You want me to be upstairs as the hostess taking people's coats? For sure. For a year, I worked every fucking position that they asked me to work. Every position. I just stood back up. And you know what's crazy? I drive around that area in Gurnee and I see everyone like living this like calm life, cars in the garage. There's a lot of people who have campers, you know, maybe they've got a family member staying there in the driveway or, you know, what have you. A lot of like just peacefulness, you know, coolers with picnic tables set up in the driveways, and it just looks like totally just chill, you know, and relaxed. Family looking environments, American flags hanging all over the place. Yeah. American dream, America. And I'm like, I could live here. At this point, I could live in that fucking shed right there and turn it into a luxury bedroom. Help, you know? But I guess they don't want that for me because I'm back here. Have you guys ever go fishing and you go deep water grade fishing poles that you have to put on a stand and secure because the weight of the fish will pull your whole boat if you're not careful. Definitely take a man overboard if you're not careful, or maybe a harness. And when the line catches and you have to reel it back in, you have to do so strategically, right? You have to reel it in a little so you don't break the line, but you've got to reel it in. You can't, let it stay out there, right? I am not a fucking fish. I am a mermaid, if anything. I'm a human for anyone who's running deceptive policy. But in that metaphor, in that world, I am a mermaid. And you've got me by my fin. And you're fucking reeling me in, and it hurts a lot. And I would like you to let me the fuck go. I need a new house. I need to pay my car. I deferred this month's payment to the end of my auto loan. I've been calling them for a week, and the calls never go through. They just say, oh, the business hours are 9 to 5, and you're calling at 2:30, so no one's here. What? 2:30 is between the hours of 9 to 5. 3 o'clock is between the hours of 9 to 5, right? And they're doing the same thing with my insurance. They're sending me little updates in writing that change, whenever, I guess, whenever. I don't know who controls when it changes. I really don't know, but it's very difficult for me to find any sort of calm or peace or direction in these kinds of, situations. But I know that there are transcripts being created from these lives, especially once the authority deems that I'm not doing this for entertainment and that everything I've said is because it is looking and feeling like there's something going on here, Most of the time, they don't let me be afraid of it. Most of the time, they don't let me be scared of it. So if you care about me and it scares you to see this, please don't be scared. Just help me. I don't know if you know how or what. I don't want my kids to ever get scared or anyone else. But I'm scared, right now. But when I hang up, they'll probably make me calm again. I just want to go home. I need a home. So worried about my whole family, of course, but I'm worried about Xavier too. It's like they tell me to say bye to him, and to say bye to him that he's never going to be back the way that he was. And then they don't offer me explanation for any of it. But he's always there, but then he's weird. But then some days I could see him in there. When I talk to him, I can feel him in there. So, anyways, hopefully they'll call me back about the job, and I could start working there tomorrow. But I really don't know. I do not know. There is no one in my local community who has not openly accused me of being a cyborg. And if there are versions of me walking around or using my identity that do not have any sort of AI upgrades or technology or what have you, they could very possibly get in the way and get harmed. I don't like the way this situation has been handled at all. And I feel like that we need an upgrade immediately. In 2026, you do not need
to have a camera lens in your eye for any reason. I mean, not in your eye. I mean, you don't need to have a human being running surveillance for you for any reason. Why? Because in 2026, you have things like camera surveillance everywhere you fucking look. Every traffic light has camera surveillance, every business, most houses, the Nest camera, all of the other formatted cameras, home security systems, home surveillance systems. There's a camera in your pen. There's a camera in your phone. There's a camera in your LCD screen. I am going to my doctor, who we've both agreed, like, this is, he literally looked at me and he's like, are you taking this medicine? Like, seriously? Like, are you, is this, like, we're both just kind of like, at this point, what in the fuck is even going on anymore? Like, this is insane, you know? Like, what do we do? How do we even proceed from here? Like, who's running the show this week? Like, who even knows? You know, we know each other well, and you know, and I'm not talking about in any sort of perverted way. I'm talking about a mutual respect and, you know, an understanding of understanding, right? And this is just a joke, you know, this whole fucking thing is a joke. It's been a joke, and not a joke like the funny kind, a joke like you have to laugh to keep yourself from crying at how inhumane, unethical, and just unlawful this entire thing has been. And to the point, before I get off of here for a minute, my funding is running low. My patients are running low, and I'm not talking about normal tolerance to external stimuli. I'm talking about my ability to continue seeing a hopeful future, my ability to withstand hunger, my ability to control the lines in from using in a deceptive or non-deceptive format my own likeness, body, personality, identity to communicate ideas that are not in alignment with my own. It's all affected, you know? Some days way more than others, and there seems to be an emergency response that's been deployed for the last week or so. I don't know why we would need to ever get to an emergency response of deployment. If this has been an ongoing issue for 6 years, I'm finding it to be a bit concerning that there's been no solution. That's under the understanding that there aren't many, many other people dealing with similar circumstances. And that's not an ego thing that I've got going on. That's an isolation thing that I've got going on. So I've not been permitted much interaction with any other person who's experienced anything like this at all, ever, at all. So most of what I know is being communicated through real life experience and being, you know, metaphorically blind and deaf to a lot of other things, so that I have no choice but to focus on what's happening with me. And so, you know, that's the update. And then with regards to the socials, that day by day video kind of journey of what was going on while I was pregnant with Weston that was removed, that was hosted on Instagram and removed on Easter Day, 2024, if anyone wants to recover that. I perceive that the people responsible for that were probably affiliated or associated to the church St. James, downtown Chicago on, I think it's Huron and Superior, in between Huron and Superior, I believe. Probably at Wells, maybe somewhere in that area. And I do believe that there was, you know, an issue there. I went there to take the court-ordered drug addiction classes that I've never been addicted to a drug, but I had to take them as one of the hoops they were forcing me to jump through for my visits. And that's where, at that church. So, you know, if you're going to recover that, Insta, that would be, you know, where I would start. Easter Day 2024 around 9 a.m. is when it was taken off of line. And then the other one, My Brand Is Not For Sale, where I've been doing daily updates, documenting day by day what's been going on, how many lines have been here, protrusions on the side of my neck, variations in my voice, tone, cadence, dialect. That one was taken off of line 2 days ago. I don't know by who. It's definitely pertinent to understanding and keeping track of everything that's been going on. There used to be Teslas and Jeeps following me. Now I've got a team of Genesis Bentleys following me. Does that mean I'm going up in the world? Is that what that means? What comes next? Do I get Rolls Royces next or what? What is it? Flying cars? Spaceships? What's going on? You know? So yeah, there's definitely been some Bentleys. Yesterday there was a Bentley Genesis following me, and there used to be a short black man who resembled that black man from Shark Tank who would drive that car. He would come into my neighborhood. Xavier and I have been together through all of this, and I don't have any sexual relationship with anyone other than Xavier, and Xavier and I have not been intimate in a little over a month, maybe 2 at this point. But yesterday while I was driving far, I'm talking about, I think I was north of Chicago Executive private airline, probably about 15 miles north, maybe more. And I turned around, and I promise you, there was not Lori from Shark Tank. There was like a doppelganger version of that older lady who, you know, the black guy with the bald head who does Shark Tank. That, some lookalike version of that is usually who drives that white Bentley Genesis. And then yesterday it was the lady, not Lori, not the younger lady with the long hair, but the lady that's a little older than her with the short hair. Or maybe she's not older. I don't mean to say that. I don't want to offend anyone or hurt anyone's feelings or be mean or anything like that. My point is, as soon as I called it out, she turned off quick into a shopping mall. And I said, what the fuck is going on? You know, in 2019, I was recording myself being stalked and surrounded by Teslas and Jeeps. You know, now I get Bentleys. Wow. I mean, I feel honored, truly. Thank you. So, anyways, that's what's going on. And, you know, I'll check in with you guys later.